Here I am, Leon C, aka Morpheus, and you are now listening to the Academy of Wow Men. And I have a very decent announcement to share with you. I don't normally do this. I've done it before, but I'm gonna do it ahead of time. Just to let you know how serious I am about the stages of our learning here, because it takes one step at a time. It takes gradual learning. See, the things I talk about, like definitely spirituality, relationships, and when it comes to religion is a very touchy subject, and it's vital for most people. And so the reason why I share with you all the time that you need to go back to the earlier audios, you need to go back. It's not to shame you, and it's not to give my audios or my videos any views, even though it could help me, and it's nice, it's decent, and it's okay. That's given back to me, which I deserve it with how much work I put into this investment, or you can say all this investment I put into this knowledge and information to give it to you. No, the reason why I need you to go back is because if you try to, you can. But if you are new to when I discuss matters of relationships or religion, which is a big thing, you will be set off. You'll be upset. You might be even in your feelings, and you won't understand what I am saying. It's not my fault. It's your fault for skipping first grade to the 12th grade. Religion takes time. What people believe in, what you think is life and death, it takes time to get to that point of enlightenment. See, there are people who have lived and have passed away on their religion and their belief system, and especially tradition. There are multiple generations who have lost their life due to religion or due to their ideas of God. And therefore, when a person like me or others come along, it's like pulling the rug from underneath your feet, or at least trying to pull the rug from underneath your feet. And all you're going to do is fall flat on your face. All you're going to do is fall flat on your face because you accept it emotionally. You accept it with blind eyes, but with just your emotions. But when you understand that just like school, this is why this is actually the Academy of Wow Men. It's an academy of learning over here. You got to take it one step at a time so you can see the true enlightenment. Why is it this way? Because you've been in it, or a lot of people have been indoctrinated for years. This is decades of deception. I watched a pastor on YouTube. Can't think of what his name is, but he has 2.5 million subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. 2.5 million subscribers. To me, that's mind-blowing. You know, me and my little bitty channel, my little paces that I make, it's mind-blowing, but it's not surprising. It gets like that because this isn't their first rodeo. The people who are listening, this isn't their first time in existence. They have had generations after generations who have believed in the concepts of, to keep it basic, God, devil, life, and death. So what makes me think, as Morpheus, giving you this red pill or telling you to awaken yourself from your deception is going to work? This is embedded in the genes of the generations. So much so where it's a part of your every phylum. So therefore, you fall flat on your face trying to go from 1 to 12, like you do high school, first grade to 12th grade, because you end up gathering the wrong type of information and don't read the whole book. You didn't get all the lessons from first grade. You skipped the first grade to the 11th grade, which is the junior year. So therefore, in any debate, in any struggle, when you're trying to chime in, if you do any type of debating on your comment box, or if you try to discuss this with your pastor, or if you think about it with your short-term information, you fall flat on your face because you didn't get the full picture. No court system, well, I'm not going to talk about that. They've been failing for quite some time. But court systems are usually based on getting the full picture first. You got to get all your facts first. You got to get the information first. You got to do the work first before you come up to a conclusion. But because we're in an instant gratification society, you don't get what you need. So I am not the one who's wrong. You are. You are wrong because you only read like one book, or because you only watched like 2 of my videos or 3. And you don't like it. You don't go to college off of only studying the English books in high school, and you forget about math, and you let go of science, and you flunk at writing and everything else. It don't work like that. You got to do all the studies, and then you're going to be ready for the next level, the next grade. That's how you become fluent, dutiful, and worthy of graduation, by getting the thorough information, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now you got a clear understanding of that, or you should have a overstanding of it. If not, I cannot help you. This is why I have a policy, a zero tolerance policy. This is why I have a thing called the sloth, meaning you're very slow, meaning you are very, very behind the bus, and you need to speed up your thinking capacity. And most likely, this type of habit comes from people who live a low life mentality, or a low life structure. They're chaotic in their personal world. They live from one day to the next day, never thinking 10 steps ahead. That's okay. There's only a few 1%ers out there and 2%. There's a difference between high class and low class. There's a difference between people who are intellectually intelligent, and there are those who are just plain stupid. But however you categorize yourself, you become your own flop. Therefore, you can't say you care about yourself, or you know everything about what this God is, or your concepts of heaven and earth, if you don't do the necessary homework. You don't really care. So therefore, you only set yourself up to be confused. That's the definition of a sloth. Now, the 2 audios that are coming, they're coming in an important timeline, because you have to go from one stage to the next, just to see what one of my interviewers think. Now, the one that's coming is called the Invader's Mark. That right there is a very important audio, and it's going to be generally about relationships and a little bit of religion there, but you need to check that one out. It's going to be a very good audio. I'm not going to spill too much about it here. And in part two is Invader Talk, or you could say the Invader Interview. Actually, it's going to be the Invader Interview, and in that interview, I'm talking with Brian about this situation, and there's going to be some religious talk in there. Okay. And I want you to listen to how Brian responds. And what's going to happen is you're going to have a question as to how come I did not interview someone else from the clergy, someone else from the church, maybe a pastor, maybe an evangelist, maybe a Jehovah's Witness, or someone like that, or a Baptist. You would wonder why. Well, the reason is this. I understand how, I'm not going to say corrupt as a negative. What it means is, in a debate, when it comes down to religions is not going to solve the problem. What's going to end up happening is going to be a drawn out dialogue of points of view, not points of fact. And what ends up happening, not only is it not points of fact, it ends up diluting the message from what I'm trying to show you. So Brian is a perfect example of an average person who just says they believe in their interpretation of God. They say they understand something about heaven. They claim to be a very dutiful and a righteous-minded person, but when it comes to answering the facts, when it comes to facing reality, they freeze up and go back to their basic. There are things that he said in the interview that I need you to catch up on. Let's see. He said something like believe. One word is believe, and I broke that down in that interview. And he also says something else. Let me see if I can think about it, because I went over the dialogue. Let's see. He said, he began to talk about this word called fear. And he said, well, it's an ad hominem. That fear is an ad hominem. Okay. When clearly what I was getting ready to read to him, and I probably read it to you already in the Invader's Mark, probably. I just didn't look over it twice over. But it clearly states fear as being fear. And I broke it down to Brian as to what fear really means according to reality. All right. And he still went back to the very basic of not wanting to listen to the facts that I was giving to him or the truth. And this is what will amp up and ramp up to a heavy debate if I were to have this discussion with a pastor or a preacher or someone of that clergy. And so therefore, again, to repeat myself, it will dilute the messages for you. And knowing Brian and have interviewed him before, he makes a very good specimen. He makes a very good person because he agrees with some things, and he understands a little bit of the dynamic when it comes to female nature and dating. And so I had to add something in that interview. Now, what I need you to do when you listen to the Invader interview with Brian, what's going to be vitally important to you is when I begin to discuss religion, listen to his response. I'm going to read several scriptures as well. That's going to allow him to respond, and listen to how he responds. Listen to his results. When asked a simple question about why they believe, or the groundwork behind it, where they have to question themselves, it's difficult for them to respond, because if they dig deeper into what's actually being said, that means they need to change their life. They have to, if they accept the reality of the contradictions that the religions present, they will have to be uncomfortable. See, a lot of people, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people love and enjoy living a life of non-accountability. Meaning this, to be a higher minded individual, you got to dig deeper into why you do what you do, like psychology. If a person has a habit of drinking, just because they like drinking, that doesn't make them an alcoholic. What makes them an alcoholic is when you dig into their past, you think about how this happened, where did this habit spawned from, what family member had that same sort of genetic pattern, or that same sort of, what do you call that word, affinity for that said drink. When people or individuals have the ability to dig into themselves and realize the root reasons why they conduct themselves, their lives will be a little bit easier. It will help them to navigate whatever struggles that they may have by understanding where it comes from. And therefore, the majority of people aren't willing to go that far. And so here it is. It's comfortable to live however you want to live, but yet still think on the other pendulum that religion or the ideas of that religion give you is going to always fulfill your better self. When, of course, just listen to the interview, there's conditions to it. Every religion has a protocol or a way that you should go about living or having a lifestyle in order for God or whatever you worship to accept you or to bless you, however it goes. And if that isn't why the person is there, that is for rewards and being praised by their so-called creator, okay? A lot of times it's just having their cake and eat it too. That's why this interview was very vital. And Brian was the sole character of this interview because he represents the average person that just lives from day to day, function from day to day, and don't dig deeper into the aspects of themselves. So therefore, they'll never get to the next level of the development. They won't evolve. And see, and it's not simply financially, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of times it's mental. It's mental. You can be a CEO. You can be an attorney. You can have your mansion on the seaside. So it's not about rising up to that sort of that evolution. No, it's being how can I put it? It is being a better advanced human being above the common, where you're not seeing things for what you want to see them as to most religious people. You see things as you want to see them. You see things for what they are. Do you understand? A lot of belief systems, a lot of religious ideas are based on you seeing things for what you want to see them as. And here's the facts of here. This is really going to wrinkle some people, but for those of you who are at the junior level of your understanding, or the junior level of this academy, have a clear ability to advance after this point. This separates the boys from the men. What separates the fake from the real is accepting the reality that stands before you when the word is exactly the word. It is exactly what it is. And getting past these ad hominems because it makes you feel good and comfortable. The 2-point-something million followers, viewers, whoever else that was subscribed to this pastor's channel, which is fine, are usually the common people, also known as sheeple, also known as cattle, is used to things that are comfortable because it's packaged from someone else. It's packaged from the pastor's mouth because they make it sound good. It makes them feel comfortable that there is some hope at the end of the tunnel, that there is possibility at the end of the tunnel. Do you got me? Do you have me here? And so giving up that validity to someone else who is underneath the badge of pastoralship or ministries or whatever the organization is comfortable, and more so when there's, let's just say, the other million are there as well. So if there's 1.5 million subscribers or people, then of course it's going to be attractive to probably 1 million others because they're going to eventually say, what's so popular about this? What's so interesting about this? And then, of course, you have the like-minded sheep. That's why you come up with the sheep. Sheep as in how animals react with each other. They herd together. They flock together. They go in one direction together. And as I discussed before, that doesn't make it right. So therefore, the elite people of this world, the elite people of humanity, listen carefully, the ones who get the jobs done, the ones who understand that it isn't about comfort, that reality isn't about just getting by, that reality isn't about you trying to mold it to your perception. Okay, they are rare. These elite people are very far and few in between, where they're elite because they accept life for what life is. They accept that there may not be light at the end of the tunnel. They accept that they are failing not because they didn't pray hard enough. It's because they're not praying to anything. They accept that there will be times where their tears will not be heard. Their sorrow will not be felt. The gift will not come back around. And that person or persons who was 6 feet in the ground or is 6 feet underneath the ground will not rise again ever. Not in this lifetime nor any next lifetime. That's what makes these people the elite. They are the advanced humans of human earth. But their perspective of reality, meaning them accepting reality, and if they discuss what real life is, if they understand that they need to be examples of a society, it will not work, because for them being the very few, they're up against the majority of people who will not accept or do not want to listen to reality, because reality is hard to take. Some people cannot take the truth. The truth, it will set you free, but it will hurt you as you are accepting it. It's not going to be a bowl of oatmeal with butter, cinnamon, and sugar, where when you dip your spoon in it, okay, you know, when you pull away from it, you'll see the liquefied sugar and the butter, you know, just melting right there on the top of the oatmeal. It's not like that. Oftentimes, reality is that you boil, or however you cook your oatmeal. You don't add no sugar. You don't add fruits and berries. Don't add cinnamon. Don't add butter. It's just plain. And it's nasty. It don't taste good. It's good for you, but it has a very bland taste to it. And I don't think I don't think a lot of people are interested in that. So if you think about it, if anybody have eaten oatmeal, or if you gather 1,000 people who eat oatmeal, okay, what is the odds that most of them are going to need to add something to their oatmeal, versus those who could probably stomach just cooking their oatmeal and eating it plain, because it has no taste to it. And let's continue on. Let's probably even tea as well. There are some people with their tea or even their coffee, they have to have cream or sugar. For their tea, they have to have honey or they have to have sugar. They have to have it. So the majority of people who are connoisseurs of this, are consumers, they got to have it. When you go to the store, if you go to a gas station, do your own research, do your own experiment. Typically, when you go to a gas station, what do you see? You see sugar and salt in everything. You see sugar and salt in everything. Look at the tea section. If you go to Lipton tea, or if you go over there to natural teas or organic tea, however you do it, most of them are going to be diluted with sugar, ladies and gentlemen. If there is sugar-free tea, or you can say plain tea with no sugar, it says unsweetened on it, it is probably one aisle, meaning one shelf, one sleeve on this shelf. The rest of them are all sugar. Raspberry, green tea with peach flavor or something. Whatever it is, it's going to be added to it. Why? See how I just tethered all that together? Do you see how I put it all together? Because most people are simply human beings. And not only simple human beings, they are human beings with the desire to make their lives comfortable. So in order to take your humanity or your true self to the next level, you have to accept your tea without sugar and your oatmeal without butter and cinnamon, and take your toast without butter. That's just reality. And it's never easy. It's not easy accepting that you've been lied to. It's not easy to accept that you're just going to have to transform. When the lights are out at the end of the tunnel, you just have to transform. You don't have a choice, ladies and gentlemen. When there is no hope, meaning whatever path you are on, it's not going to lead to what you desire, what you want. The reality is you have to be woman enough or man enough to transform in order to survive, or not only transform, transcend. If you don't transcend, change the path. You don't have an option. That's what makes you stronger. Diversity makes you stronger. It makes you self-sufficient. It makes you depend on yourself. You really want to be a boss babe. That's when you are a boss babe. When the light is not at the end of the tunnel and you accept it and you just change your path. That's what makes you a man. Instead of standing there waiting for a pastor to give you some lying hope. Instead of you standing there waiting for this book that was written by human beings to give you a non-inspired word, pause, you decide to think for yourself. You don't need to wait on a lie or a deception. You are willing to search, research, and focus on other things that could take you to the next evolution of your existence. A lot of time the lie has already have taken its toll, but because we can't stand doing the work, because we can't stand accepting that we have to take life in differently and we have to recreate ourselves. We can't stand that. We can't handle that because it's too much of a burden, because there's too many years we have to shed off. It's too many lies we have to cut away from our connected mindset. So we simply give up. We simply just let the world change us. We let the pastors change us. We let our religious ideas change our mindset into a comfortable, more sedated path. Do you know what it means to be sedated? Do you know what it means? Do you know what it means to be subdued and sedated? It's to put you on a sedated path. That's what religion does. That's what happens when you believe and you simply don't know. That's what happens when you follow and you don't lead. That's the same conversation. I had a conversation with another guy, but I know it's not ever going to get anywhere. But I had an interview with another, I told you, a Jehovah's Witness. It's the same thing. I've spoken to him the same way I've presented my information to you. And it's like kicking your foot against a brick wall. Why? First of all, age. The older a person is, most times they're set in their ways, no matter how true what you're saying is. But the second part of it, he don't want to accept reality. He don't want to accept what I'm presenting. Because, and this is why they lose. I'm going to tell you right now. Here it is. Here's the Shangri-La. It's one thing if they can come back with their own facts. Not from their book, not from their religious idea, but from reality. It'll be a different story if their presentation wasn't something that I have to look in a book for, or that I have to, believe in. It's almost like going to the garage and pulling out the car. Oh, you don't have a Porsche. No, you're lying. You ain't got a Porsche. Oh, you don't think I got a Porsche? Okay, hold on. Stand right here. Hold my keys for a second. And then they go to the garage and they pull it out. That's a different story. Then I'm defeated. I don't mind. I admit being defeated. And okay, well, I didn't know. All right, I'm wrong. You do have a Porsche. I'll sit my butt down. I don't mind admitting when I am wrong. I don't mind admitting that I lost in a debate. I don't mind saying, well, maybe I need to research some more. Maybe I need to keep looking. Maybe my position is wrong. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, 9 times out of 10, they have nothing to say. They're going to say 9 times out of 10, well, in the book it says, 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 in the book it says. They can't never say in Egypt. Go to Egypt. No, because they amalgamated and they mutated Egypt. I got pictures of Egypt. I seen what was on the hieroglyphs. I seen the hieroglyphs, ladies and gentlemen. I know what Pharaoh was all about. And I know the story behind Moses and the Egypt people as well. So you can't pull that wool over my eyes either. Oh, go to Jerusalem. In the Jerusalem library, it's, yeah, I did my study on that as well. Got pamphlets on that also. I've read their struggle. And I understand that behind it is just like what's behind other religions. People. People and their concepts and their ideas. Your concepts and your ideas mean nothing to facts. Let me say that again. You may have an idea for air. You may have a concept about air. You may have a perception about air. But you are not going to change the fact that air is simply air that most people breathe, if not all, besides those who are 6 feet under. You understand what I'm saying? The human mind is very unique, and people have a way of distracting themselves. They have a way of lying to themselves, no matter how the truth is presented. And if you debunk any path that they take, they're still going to take and make a path. They will make a path because it's anything to be comfortable, anything to be satisfied with lying to themselves than to do what's right. And what is right in the situation? To evolve truly, to change their ways, or to come at you with not only what you present, but what they present. It's one thing to talk about what you know from your standpoint of view, but it's another thing to talk when you've been on the other side of the bridge as well. I've been in the religious circle. I wanted to be a pastor. I've been in the churches. I've been in the mosques. I've been in the, there's so many of it, it's ridiculous. The Baptist circles. I've been with Jehovah's Witnesses before, but you know what I did not do? I didn't stay ignorant. I studied because I knew something was wrong. That's how evolution works. You don't stay in the low valley of your understanding. You want to evolve yourself and challenge what you think you know. You challenge what you think you know with the facts of what other people are saying, and you test it. You don't take a car off the assembly line and say that it can go 130 miles per hour. I'm just saying 30 because a lot of modern conventional cars are 120, so I'm saying 30, right? You can't say this car goes 130 miles per hour if you never tested it. Do you understand? Yeah, I offsetted it, but forget it, right? Morpheus is like 120 and 140. I've never seen 130. Well, like I said, this is my academy. I do what I want to do here. Take your crusty, rusted bottom lip and put it up on top lip. You don't like it? Exit stage left. I rule this zone over here. I say the hell what I want to say. I said 130 miles per hour. So you claim that it's 130 miles per hour, but you never tested it. You advertise it. You have other salesmen advertising it. Oh, it's 130 miles per hour. This thing has 220 horsepower and something about torque. They're like, yeah, sure. Okay, cool. But you never tested it. You see how it's produced. You see the metal. You can feel it. You can bang on it with your bare hands, but you never put it on the road. If a person has to put their religion on the road, if you got to face reality with your bare hands, if it comes down to that, and it has plenty of times, trust me, it's been done for thousands of years now. We're just ignorant because we're human beings. I get it. Like I told you, comfort zone. If they ever have to, and they know that, oh, it's not 130, it's 110 miles per hour, and the horsepower isn't 220, it's actually 199. You know what they're going to say? Oh, well, it's close enough. I guess it's fine. It's okay. It's fine that we didn't really test it. We've been lied to, but hey, it drives. It's good enough. You want to know why, ladies and gentlemen? Here it is. And if I have my soundboard, I will pull it. Here's your facts, because most unthinking people who don't lead themselves anyway, which is the very definition of being a sheep, who don't and are not interested in evolving to the next stages or level of their development, they need guidance like a child need to be guided by their father and their mother. And that is the bare bones there. So if they're always seeking for guidance because they can't guide themselves, they are never grown and they're not going to grow up. To grow up means you accept reality, and reality is too difficult for the common person to accept in the millions, apparently. So do yourself your just diligence, and I gave you some references. They're getting ready to be produced. It's called The Invader's Mark and The Invader Interview. Check those out. The Invader's Mark come first. The Invader Interview comes second. This one that I have here is a prelude. All right, so what I want you to do is listen to how Brian is responding when it comes to, he did fairly okay when it came to relationship, but when I talked about religion, or this so-called thing called religion, okay, some of y'all gonna say spiritual. No, religion and spirituality is two different things. Religion and superstition slash religion, which is superstition, is two different things. All right, so I have more for you. I gave you my references, and meet me there and just listen intently on those two audios, and you're going to get something out of it. Maybe you might be the elite, and in order to understand that you are, and how you know is by being able to accept the reality of a lot of things that I'm describing to you, because that's what it takes to get to the next level of your developments.